And again, we welcome all viewers who are now live on YouTube. Praise you.
Praise you.
For the record of this recording, of this live stream on YouTube, we're also on our conference line. Today is recognized by the calendars. There's two calendars. One that's governed by the sun, solar, and one is governed by the moon, lunar. The sun calendar is also celestial. That is the correct time. That time is not governed by clocks. That clock is governed by the moon, lunar. Our time is governed by the sun, from sundown to sundown. Therefore, today, according to our solar year and celestial year, from the first year that was given to Cain, allotted to Cain to rule this planet, which was 6,025 years ago. According to our solar calendar, celestial today is the fourth day of the 10th month. The fourth day of the 10th month. And we're right in the middle of it. Sundown will be the fifth day of the 10th month, which is another 6 hours or so from now. 6 or 7 hours. We're on the east coast of the United States of North America. We're in the state that's called Florida, the 27th state of the 48 that are conjoined. And we're the city in the south of Florida that's called Miami. Miami of Florida. There are 11 states in the United States that has a city, a village, or a town that is named Miami. 11. However, we are in the 27th state of the most infamous city that's called Miami in South Florida, also known as South Beach, South Miami Beach, infamously known. And that is where we are on this fourth day of the 10th month of our solar year, 6025. Now, according to the lunar calendar, that would change at 12 o'clock tonight to bring about their 16th day of the 12th month of that calendar. Today is known as December 15th, 2022. It's for the record. There's a reason for this. Again, today is known by their calendar as December 15th, 2022. That's 2022 years after the so-called crucifixion of the Christ. That's AD, after the death of the Christ. And that would be the Christ of the God of the Hebrews. There are many Christs that are here today, many Christs that are here that was prophesied to rise. And they will all be false. There's only one Christ that was promised to return, according to Acts chapter 1 and verses 1 through 11, would be the same one, Hebrew, of the Hebrew gender, the Hebrew genes, the Hebrew celestial seed of the God of the Hebrews. So now that we have confirmed what day and date it is of both calendars, we want to welcome all of those who have decided to join in with us today. If you're live, if you're watching live, or even if you're watching the recording, we welcome you. And we invite you to continue to study and learn with us. You were invited to do so over 3,000 years ago, according to the book called Micah in chapter 4. You were invited to come and learn of our God, learn of your God. Our God is also your God. Our God is the God that created and made everything that exists and everything that lives and does not live. He made it all. He is the God of the Hebrews. His name has been kept secret from the beginning, even before the beginning. His name was kept secret only to be revealed in the last days. And these are the last days. And we're going to prove that as well. In fact, you can look at the signs of what's going on this planet that involves nature, that you call nature. And you can see that this is the end of the world. This is the end time that was promised to come. This world is coming to its end. We are making extreme emphasis on that, and we're making that very clear. This world is coming to its end. I'm going to be your host, as I'm always your host, and I'm known to many in the past, at least since 1979, the past 41 years or so, 42 years, 43 years, 1979, 43 years. Now, my math, I'll be the first to tell you my math is terrible. And also my arithmetic is terrible. But I believe from 1979 to 2022 is 43 years. And I've been known by many only as Micah. I'm known by the theologians of history and today, and all the clergies of the religious churches today, of all nations. I'm known in the Bible as Micah the MORASTHITE. Micah the MORASTHITE. And you can find that in a book called Micah, the third book, right in the middle of the Bible, King James Version. Right in the middle of the Bible, 33 of the 66 books, Micah chapter 1 and verse 1. Speaking of Bibles, if you're going to join us, we are encouraging you right now to take a moment and grab hold of your Bible. Grab hold of your King James Version Holy Bible. Grab hold to your Strong's Concordance. If you have a Strong's Exhaustive Concordance, grab hold to that. A dictionary or two. Grab your eyeglasses if you wear eyeglasses because you're going to read. Although we're going to assist those who do not have a Bible, we're going to assist you with ours that we have. And you're looking back of my head. We have a giant monitor. It's called a smart TV. It's called a big plasma smart TV. Enough inches that you should be able to see it, and we share it with you on that big screen. And that television is smarter than a lot of other people on this planet. That's why they call it smart TV. It's smart. So take out your Bible, because we're going to get busy and reveal some more secrets that were promised to be revealed today. And some knowledge that was hidden that you did not know, and also that the devils throughout history have hidden from you, although many were transliterated into other idioms from the original Hebraic, from the Hebrew scrolls. They were not all added, and some were lost. But there's one thing that you cannot lose that they lost or they destroyed, and that is my mind. I'm the same mind that was here over 2,022 years ago that they called the crucifixion. And I'm going to say Todah to my Ab, and I'm going to praise him forever for doing that, for bringing me back as he said he would. My testimony in itself is going to prove that it is me. The secrets that I'm going to reveal will also prove that it's me. And I destroy the works of the devil, who deceived the whole world to believe in one thing that is not, and then to believe in two things that is. So in other words, he mixed the truth with lies to deceive the world. And then he makes lies with the truth to conquer the world. But he's going to fail, because he is not going to conquer the new world. He is going to be destroyed. And I also thank and praise my Ab for that. Ab, Alabeth, means father in Hebrew. And before we get started, I'm going to once again make an extreme emphasis that we have been misconstrued by the scientists and by other nations and governments of this world to be aliens from another planet. We are not aliens from another planet. This planet also belongs to us. The universe belongs to us, and all planets that are inhabited, and those are not inhabited, those that are not known to be inhabited, they all belong to us. And mankind has given you a fantasized mind, a make-believe mind, to believe that aliens are some type of monster beings, like from Mars, like men from Mars. And then they paint pictures in your mind and also put them on the screen, on canvases and on television and in movies that they make to make you believe such a lie of creatures with big eyes, big heads, small mouths, small limbs of arms and legs. Some call them grays, and some call them blacks and browns. Well, I'm here to testify to you the truth. I'm also known in the Bible, in the New Testament, a book called John, is the spirit of truth. That means in my soul is nothing but the truth. And I bring you the truth that they mix with lies to lead the world into believing that we are monsters from outer space. Now, yet, once again, I demonstrate to you that the eyes that they depicted and placed in your mind are not eyes. They were shields to cover our eyes to protect them from filth, from the light of the sun, from rays of infrared, and from our traveling through space toward the sun, which is the brightest light in existence, the sun. So therefore, this is what they depicted in your minds and led you to believe that we're aliens from another planet. And if that was the case, then why would there be illegal aliens crossing the Mexico-United States border without a passport? How would they be called aliens from another country? And yet they say we're aliens from another planet. We are not. We left them here as a species. We are the gods of those who are deceiving you. They are our species. My Father created them, called mankind. That started from Cro-Magnon man, Neanderthal man, caveman, mankind, that were created and recorded back in the book called, the first book of the Bible, King James Version, is called Genesis. You may call it Genesis, but it's Genesis. There is no J and no sound of a J in Gimel. In Genesis chapter 1, beginning at verse 26, you will see where they come from and how you, if you're watching, if you're guilty, if you're one of these that I'm describing, that's where you come from. You come from the creation of my Father who made you. Therefore, with that said, we dare you to continue to call us illegal aliens or aliens from another planet. By the grace of my Father, you're here with me to witness this. As you also witness me deliver my people back to their own territory, the territorial land in the Middle East that's called Israel, all 12 territories of Israel, of which you have stolen and robbed Yehuda, the fourth tribe, from their territory that's called Jerusalem today and Judea. Gaza, all of that belongs to my people. Tel Aviv, it all belongs to my people. Bethlehem, it all belongs to my people. The children of my Father, known as Israelites, not the Israelis. So let's make that clear. Now, with that said, turn to the book called Micah, chapter 1, verse 1, so they can see why I'm called MORASTHITE. Although the funny thing of this is, I'm being called Micah the MORASTHITE. That's M-I-C-A-H. Speaking of M-I-C-A-H, grab something to write with, because we're going to ask you to write a couple of things to take notes. Grab something to write with. Something to write on and take notes, because we're going to do a writing exercise, maybe a couple of them. So, Micah, M-I-C-A-H, that's in English. From left to right, that's not a name, it's a meaning. Although the theophoric extension was destroyed, it was cut off from the complete meaning of that word. Micah is a word, a Hebrew. Micah itself in English is just a transliteration of the original Hebrew word that was made up of 5 characters. And 2 of the 5 characters positioned twice. But they cut off 3 of the characters, 1 position twice, which is Yod He Wav He. That's 3 of the characters, Yod He Wav He. They cut that off. It's called a theophoric extension that identifies a deity of a god. The first part of the name, M-I-C-A-H, or Mem Yod Kaf He, Mem Yod Kaf He, Micah, means who is like. It means who is like. So what they did was, although it's in its entirety that you can find according to, you see Micah chapter 1, verse 1? Read that, please.
The word of the Lord that came to Micah, the Morasthite, in the days of Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah.
Now, what they did was they took off what they call the tetragrammaton, Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, from Micah. Had they not done that, you would have been reading Micah Yahweh. Read that first part again.
The word of the Lord that came to Micah.
Now, what you would have been reading was the word of the Lord that came to Micah Yahweh in English. But instead, they substituted and euphemized Yahweh and put Morasthite. And if that was not true, and is not true, then someone can comment me or direct me to where I can find the rest of the Morasthites today. Where are the rest of the Morasthites? Morasthite. And the Bible, if you read the Bible from Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, all the way to Revelation chapter 22 and verse 23, read the whole Bible, verse to verse, chapter to chapter, book to book, page to page, and you will not see another Morasthite in the Bible. And that should lead you right away to wonder where are the rest of the Morasthites, since Micah is the Morasthite. And where are the rest of them? And where are they today? And then they give you another line in the same chapter and said he comes from Moresheth-Gath. Where is that? Moresheth-Gath. And how come Micah is the only one that comes from that place? Because that place is on another planet. They lead you to believe it's right here on this planet, but it's not. Micah comes from far beyond this planet. And that's why they took off the theophoric extension, so you do not connect Micah to God. Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh. Now, when you put that together, Mem Yod Kaf Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh, in Hebrew, that's 5 Hebrew characters, 2 positioned twice. Mem Yod Kaf Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh. Then you have the meaning of that word, Hebrew, which is who is like Yahweh in English. Who is like Yahweh? Who is like Yod-Heh-Wav-Heh? That means that the one who's coming would be just like he was before when he left. He would be just like God. And that's where Mikael comes in at. Mikael. Mem Yod Kaf Yod Hel-He. Mikael. And that means who is like God, which is the same celestial being. That means Micah Yahweh, and Mikael, and the Christ is the same being, the same celestial soul. We encourage you to study that, discover that for yourself. It's the same one as the Christ. Now, we made that clear, and we testified of that this past weekend. Again, today is known by that calendar as Thursday, December 15th, 2022. And last weekend, we made a revelation and we fulfilled prophecy at the same time that was promised to happen, and it did. It was fulfilled, and we're going to explain that today during this testimony. We also constituted last weekend as Saturday, December 9th, and Sunday, December 11th. And we had a reason for doing that. If you'd like to know the reason, then we encourage you to watch the previous 2 video recordings on this live stream, on this social media website called YouTube. And it's titled, I believe it's titled, The Revelation of Micah the Morasthite.
Yeah.
parts 1 and 2, and the conclusion is part 2. Now, we just brought to you a little reiteration. We just did a supplement reiteration on what we did in our previous 2 testimonies and videos. And speaking of that, we want to hear from some who are with me here in Miami at the round table here at our kingdom. But before we do, that testimony that I presented to this planet is prophetical. Now let's prove it. Turn to Revelation chapter 11. We're going to reveal some more cryptic mysteries, secrets. Crypto, codex, cryptograms, secrets that were originally hand drafted by ink and pen in Hebraic on scrolls, and they are now available in Bibles and Tanakhs, Torahs. So would you begin at verse 3?
And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses.
Now this verse begins with a conjunction known as and. What does verse 2 begin with?
But.
What does verse 1 begin with?
And.
So you have an and in verse 1, but then you have a but in verse 2. And for the sake of those who don't have a Bible, we're sharing our Bible with you. You look over my head. What do you have in verse 1? Read verse 1.
And there was given me a reed like unto a rod.
That means we're asking you to read. And that's why I said grab your Bible and read with us. What you see is R-E-E-D. Why? Because by the time this is revealed, A would have ascended back up into heaven. That's a symbol. My father, Ma'ab, identified himself to this planet in 1986 as a symbol. That's on the same social media website called YouTube, and you can go to that and look it up and watch it one day, view it. We pray you can see it and hear it. It's titled The Time Interview of Yahweh. Yahweh ben Yahweh Time Interview. And you'll see that it's not hard to spot. You'll see a photo image or still picture of a celestial being sitting in a chair with a white garment on and a head wrap, white head wrap. That's what he presented himself in that image to this world while he was here. He wore white, and he had a reason for wearing white. Just like my people today are wearing white because he wore white, and you still don't know why you wear white. Opposed to you see me right now, I'm wearing purple. You should want to know why they put purple garments on that body, that vessel that I was in over 2,022 years ago. As they stripped whatever I had on, they put purple on that body. It's in the book. You can look at it. John chapter 23 and a couple other books. Matthew, Mark is there. But what you do see on my head is white. That was also prophetical. My head and my hairs were white like wool. But you don't know what you're reading. That's why we gave you an R-E-E-D. The A ascended, but the E was placed there to educate you and teach you how to read, R-E-E-D. So now we're asking you to read R-E-E-D as I teach you today how to R-E-E-D as A ascended. That's cryptic. I know you didn't think that was a reed that you know, like putting a reed or reef over your door this month because you think it's the Christ birthday coming up 10 days from now. That's another lie that the devils of the world deceived you into believing. December 25th has nothing to do with the Christ except one thing, and that would be the day at sundown that he was conceived. He was placed into a womb. And we're going to show you in a moment that that womb is also in Revelation by a hieroglyphic and by a homophone known as door. That has something to do with Revelation chapter 11. And that would be the second door. The first door or exit that was made and performed on this planet to start the end of this world happened on February 20th, 1917. That door is made out of a pearl. I repeat, the very first exit of a celestial being was my orb. The very first, I repeat, the very first step toward the end of this world was made by my orb as he exited a pearly gate on Sunday, October 27th, 1935 by your calendars. But that pearly gate came into existence on February 20th, 1917. And that's his gate. That was his gate. You identified today by a parental word. It's called mother. You think it was his mother. And the Bible is known as Elizabeth. And the Bible is known as Elizabeth who gave birth to what they wanted to be Zechariah. But no. The mother was told to name him John. Just like today. But there was no control. Just like then, the father wanted to name him after himself, Zechariah. Elizabeth's husband, Zechariah. But back then, just like today, the God of the Hebrews had his control and told the angel to tell her to name him John, Yohanan. No John, there's no J, Yohanan. And therefore he was named Yohanan. He became Yohanan the Baptist. But this day, today, being another land, a strange land of slavery, bondage, the father had his way and named him after himself. And therefore he became a junior, according to the English, as the Hulan Mitchell Jr. From Hulan Mitchell Sr., the same activity, the same performance, the same thing, the same God, yesterday, today, and forever. And that was the first door, the first gate. The second gate came 19 years later. And we went over that during the past testimony. That gate also became a door. Although both have now performed their purposes for being here, now they have been taken back up. So with that said, you have read in verse 1 of Revelation chapter 11, 1:1. Read it again, verse 1, the entire chapter, the entire verse. We're not going to read the entire chapter. We don't have that kind of schedule.
And there was given me a reed like unto a rod.
That rod is D-O-R backward. Got it? Okay, that's a door. And
the angel stood, saying,
that reed came out of a door, and then all of a sudden an angel stood out that door that was reading, as he wants you to read today. And all of a sudden it became two. Came out of a door with one name, and it was resurrected by another, his own name, by the Father. Read, let's see.
Rise and measure the temple of God.
The temple of God is a man. The tabernacle is with man, is with men. This was an allegory, a cryptic message preserved for today. Revelation chapter 11. And what else?
And the altar.
A-L-T-E-R. They have A-L-T-A-R. Although we have an A-L-T-A-R right in front of our kingdom that was also created and made right here in Miami. A-L-T-A-R. So we have A-L-T-A-R and A-L-T-E-R right here. And what?
And them that worship therein.
They had to come right in here to worship in this temple. Verse 2.
But the court, which is without the temple.
Yeah, B-U-T. The court without the temple are being placed in a tub. All others are being placed in a tub. And they're being left in a tub. Some would be clean and some would be burned in that tub. You think it's but. They gave you B-U-T. But we read opposite of Hebrew, opposite of English, which is from right to left. So you should be looking at a tub. T-U-B. So read that part again.
But the court.
See, tub the court. Tub the court. We're going to tub everyone in the court. That's what?
Which is without the temple.
They're without the temple. They're not here. They're not in the temple. They're out in the tub. And some tubs right now are flooded with water and snow. Tornadoes, water, snow, ice, and floods. Water. Do what?
Leave out.
Leaving them out. Leave them out the temple. Why?
And measure it not.
Why? It's got to be a reason.
For it is given unto the Gentiles.
That's who they are in the tub. Mm-hmm.
And the holy city shall they tread underfoot 42 months.
42 months. Wow. But you don't know what that means. That's another allegory. There's no numerics. Now read verse 3.
And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses.
Where they come from all of a sudden? The first time in the Bible, 2 witnesses are mentioned. In Revelation chapter 11. Where did they come from? 2 witnesses, 1 body. 2 different titles and names. They're what?
And they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth.
Now, clothed in sackcloth, that means we do not mix our clothing. That's a law. Shiloh is here. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Shiloh is also known as Micah, the MORASTHITE. Micah carries plenty of titles and appellations, plenty of them. My father wrote 50 of them in a book that was titled The Introduction of Hebrew, the Language of God, Yod-Heh, 1993. Appellations. Shiloh is another one of them. And to prove that we do not wear and mix our wool with linen. You didn't know that. My angels would be identified and known as that. Turn to Leviticus for a moment. We're going to come back to that. Put a mark in your Bibles if you're following us and go to Leviticus chapter 19. We do not do that. We do not mix linen with wool. It's against the law. It's against our law. And you have Leviticus chapter 19.
Yeah.
Okay. Look down somewhere around verse. Let's see.
19.
Read verse 19. Leviticus 19. 19.
Yeah.
How about that? 2 years after 1917. Read verse 19.
Ye shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with a diverse kind. Thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed. Neither shall a garment mingled of linen and woolen come upon thee.
Got it? We don't do that. I'm giving you the law. I'm returning the law to you. Learn what woolen is and learn what linen is. No wool, no linen mixed together. You're gonna come back to that. So put a marker in Leviticus 19. That's the law. That's the chapter of the law. Shallow couldn't be here if the law is not revised. I did not come to destroy the law or the prophets. Did you hear me? I did not come to destroy the law or the prophets. I came not to destroy that, but to fulfill, just as it said I would in Shalom. Now go back for a moment, back to Revelation chapter 11. But now you're going to keep a marker in Leviticus 19, because we're coming back to prove that this generation shall not pass until all these things be fulfilled as I promised. Read verse 3 again.
And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses.
That's the same angel that's going to give power. How would he be able to give power unto my 2 witnesses? Because he's going to bring those 2 witnesses back to power. That's not God speaking to the angel. That's the angel speaking of the angel. That he's also the 2 witnesses. And you're going to see here, he's going to give his power back to those 2 witnesses. How? With all kinds of divine wisdom, celestial. Read that part again. See if it says, I'm going to give power back to my 2 witnesses.
And I will give power unto.
It didn't say back. The power was always there. He never lost the power. It was always there. It's just that opposed to having 1, it's going to be 2. 2 witnesses of himself. And what else?
And they shall prophesy 1,260 days.
Read on.
Clothed in sackcloth. These are the 2 olive trees.
Now you have both witnesses that's going to be bringing life with the O. They're going to be bringing life for those to live. What you think is olive is not. It's the circle again that was after the D-O-R. You're right back at the circle. D-O-R. And there's the O after the D-O-R, the O. Right in the middle of thy, T-H-Y. Right?
Yeah.
So there's your O. Thy live. Live. Live with the O. And come inside the O to live. That has nothing to do with a black or green type pip grape with a bitter taste that you think is an olive that you put in martinis. It has nothing to do with that. That's a word, 2 words. Each letter is a word. Scientifically. That's olive. Not olive. Going to give power to the 2. Read that again.
These are the 2 olive trees.
Those who have the power to make you live. The 2 old lives. One life was of the Satan. The other life is going to be of God. That means he's got to destroy the works of Satan, the devil. That means these 2 witnesses also, one witness was in bondage. The other witness was free. One witness had one kind of name, the other witness had another kind of name. One was terrestrial and one was celestial. 2 witnesses, same body, same one. Read on.
And the 2 candlesticks standing before the God of the earth.
Symbolizes a candlestick. But that's not even lit. That's just a candlestick. There's a candlestick. There's no candle in a stick. There's 2 candlesticks standing before the God That's symbolic. The same candle. One candle was in Zechariah chapter 4. The other candle is in Micah chapter, in the book called Micah. You got it?
Yeah.
All cryptic. 2 candlesticks. You know what a candlestick is? Study candlestick. It didn't say candle. It's candlestick. The candlesticks are empty. And the candlesticks wouldn't be fulfilled until the testimony is given. And that would light up, that would bring the candle that it was going to light up the whole world at the end. 2 candles of the 2 witnesses. That means from this verse forward, it's got to be, you got to find the 2 candles. The testimony's got to be given. Read on.
And if any man will hurt them,
That would be a mistake. They didn't put that in the Bible, but that would be a mistake. See if you're going to read that. I think if any man will hurt them, that would be a mistake. See if that's in there.
fire proceeded out of their mouth.
That is a mistake. That is a mistake in itself. You see what would happen if they hurt them? Let's not even think of assassinating them or killing them like they did their president on November 22nd, 1963. Let's not even think of that. Or how they did one of their Jacob gods in April 4th, 1968. That would be a mistake. And what else?
And devoured their enemies.
Uh-huh.
And if any man will hurt them.
Are you repeating that? That must be a reminder. Then what's going to happen to those if that happens?
He must in this manner be killed.
That's what's going to happen. Some have already tried. I'm making a public announcement today that some have tried. And as they tried, they were killed. You want to know what happened to them? They were killed. What verse is that?
It's verse 5.
Read on. Now read where you can see where the plagues. How much power do they have to bring about?
These have power to shut heaven.
That's how much power. That it rain not?
That it rain not in the days of their prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
And have power over waters.
To turn them into blood?
To turn them to blood.
Turn them to blood or turn them into blood?
Turn them to blood.
Oh, not into blood. And that's what's going on. And
to smite the earth
with plagues?
With all plagues.
No, some plagues.
With all plagues.
Even some plagues that they never heard of before. That is part of ALL. And only for a little while.
As often as they will.
That's not for a little while. So why are they still calling it COVID-19? And here we are approaching 2023. You're leaving room for some more plagues. You're not tired of COVID-19? Okay, then we'll give you some 2023. COVID 23. How's that? How about COVID 6026? As often as it will. Read on.
And when they shall have finished their testimony.
Okay, hold it. And all of a sudden you have the word testimony. I am revealing today on this video, this testimony, that they have finished their testimony. And this is merely an epilogue. This is an epilogue. They have finished their testimony, but you don't know what the testimony is. But the testimony that they were finished is theirs, not yours. It's nobody else's testimony, but you don't know what testimony is because you did not study their word or his testimony. And there's I right in the middle of the test and the money. The testimony that were finished were given this past weekend on Saturday, December 9th, and Sunday, December 11th, parts 1 and 2. And I know by now, those who are watching this for the first time are wondering, why does he keep saying Saturday, December 9th, and then jump to Sunday, December 11th? Again, I encourage you to watch the testimonies, especially the second testimony that was given December 11th. And then you'll see, if you watch that video, at the end of that video, I said it's finished. I did say that. Did I say that?
Mm-hmm.
It is finished. I even took you to a scripture or two that said finished in Revelation. That means this verse that you're about to read now, is that verse 12?
Verse 7.
Verse 7. It's been fulfilled. But you hadn't studied testimony. You didn't know what the testimony was. Now we're going to reveal to you what the testimony was that was finished. But first, I would like to hear from some that heard the testimony and was here with the testimony. What do you think? What is your feelings? What have you gotten from your intellect of the testimony? We're going to hear from one. We're not going to call names. You're going to hear the voice. None of your business what their names are. They're not your host. They've been protected by WAV. They are in the witness protection program of the Celestial Lodge, not the United States government. Are you ludicrous? They can't protect no one. The United States government cannot protect anyone with their own de facto witness protection program. Their witness protection program is de facto. Ours is de jure. Witness protection de jure, protected by WAV, that you find in Revelation in chapter 11. But especially in chapter 21 and verse 17. Also in Micah chapter 7 and verse 18.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you find that protection. So we're going to ask witness number C. Witness C. That follows B. And that's coming from the Lamb. The Lamb with the lowercase L. And you can write that down. Those who have never heard this before, I remind you once again that Lamb is a symbol, another hieroglyphic. And each letter of that, what you think is Lamb, is scientifically identifying me as who I am. My father is A and I'm B. And when you spell Lamb from left to right with the lowercase L, A-M-B, you can do it. You can spell it with a lowercase L, a capital, or uppercase A-M-B, and you would have, look at it very closely, you have I am B. My father is A, and I am B, the Lamb of God. Now I'm going to ask witness C to share with the world how you feel, your feelings of intellect, or what you concluded in your mind of the testimony that was given this past weekend.
Again, praise Yod.
Praise Yod.
For I need me. That testimony was clear confirmation, proof, and evidence of Peniel.
You have to speak to them in layman's terms. They don't know what Peniel is.
In your Micah Yahweh presence in not only biblical history but just time itself, and regardless of how they try to or think to change time, and even put in the law their calendar is changing time, Peniel still shows his presence.
Who is Peniel?
Micah Yahweh, the host, the son of Yod. And I mean, with that testimony, if our people of Israel, specifically Judah and Levi, can't wake wait to see that, then I pray and by have mercy on him. That's clear.
Okay. I want to say total to my art for putting in your heart and soul to share that with us.
Praise
Praise
Job.
Job.
Anyone else would like to share what they learned or how they feel of that? Okay, now we have witness D. We have witness D. All right, witness D, would you share with us, with the world who's watching, even recording? How do you feel?
I feel
Or what you, based on the testimony?
based on the testimony.
You want to speak nice and loud so we can hear you.
Based on the testimony that Memyo revealed, and it was awakening to the truth and the fact that the name of Micah and the connection with the Christ is one and the same, and also the lies and deception of Satan, the devil, taking away the days or adding on days to the calendar, and so putting things back in place and reconnecting us with our God. That's what was truly revealed in the message.
Okay. Well, I want to say Toda. Thank you in Hebrew to my as well for putting it in your heart and soul to come forward to share with the world what you feel, how you feel. Praise Job. Anyone else?
Praise Job.
Do we have a E? All right, E.
Yeah, we have it.
Witness E.
Praise Job.
Praise Job.
Giving all glory and honor to Job in the name of his son, Micah Yahweh. One of the most fascinating things of the second video that stood out to me was the revelation of the name Saunders. That was in itself phenomenal.
Saunders, Saunders.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
We learned that the ERS is an abbreviation for the Lamb.
It is. As we just reminded them, the ERS is an abbreviation for the Lamb.
For the Lamb, which reveals Micah Yahweh as I am B. He came under that name through the family he chose to come through. That revelation in itself, you have to watch the video.
And you do know what you're telling the world is that Micah Yahweh or Mem Yod Kaf Wafe or Micah, the MORASTHITE, all of those two witnesses. He chose a particular family to come through, even as he named them and given them the name that would be more of a sign and symbol of who he would come through and how, of Judah, to fulfill Hebrews chapter 7, verse 14.
Yes.
And Isaiah chapter 49 and verses 1 and 2, people of the isles.
Yes. And even when you take the S off of the ER, you have earth. And we looked up the definition of that name, which means to awake.
To awake, ER.
And so not only is Micah Yahweh the Lamb of God, but he's here to awaken the sleep children of Israel. And, I just once again want to testify and say the Christ is here, right here.
Praise you.
Praise you.
Once again, I say Torah to Mount for putting it in your heart and soul to come forward to share with us. Okay. Do we have an F? Witness F. Come forward. We have a witness F. This is a series that follows A. And not only that, and it's not that you're going to hear a man's voice change to a higher pitch, but we also have women angels as witnesses. That's what you're going to hear next. And this, remember, did you write it down yet? Before witness F speaks, write down on your paper G-E-N. I gotta say G, but because for the sake of the English's idiom, G-E-N-D-E-R. Gender. And right now, it's going to wipe your minds clean on what's going on right now. You have no idea that you're fulfilling prophecy that I hid encrypted. That's why I had to pause for a moment and have you write down Gender. This is also a part of the testimony. Remember, this is the epilogue. You had parts 1 and 2. Now this is the epilogue. Go ahead. Witness F under the Celestial Witness Protection Program. De jour.
Okay, praise you.
Praise you.
So one of the things that stood out to me in the previous recording of the Return of Micah and MORASTHITE was when the host, our host, went over Dorothy, which is the door that he come from, and he broke down DOR-O-thy, so thy door. And when I went to the O, the symbol O, and looked it up in the Bible, it took me to H994, which is B. We know that our host is B. And then one of the other references it took me to was H577, which is Ha, love. We know that that's one of the appellations for the host. And then I looked up in the Merriam-Webster online dictionary, the circle, and the definition under C. The second definition under C is the orbit of a celestial body. So then that was even more confirmation that Dorothy was giving birth to the Christ, which is B. So, again, praise you.
Praise you. Once again, I find myself saying Toda to my and I'm sure he can hear me, my Father in heaven, as I thank him for putting in the heart and soul of Witness F to come forward with that remarkable and fascinating testimony of her results. Is anyone else? Okay, now we have a G. And I mean G. We have Witness G. Would you share with the world on this social media's website, YouTube, what is your feedback on what you witnessed and experienced this past weekend of the testimony?
Praise you. First, I'd like to give all honor to you for his son who's here with us this day.
Nice and loud.
Praise you. Yes, sir. And I'd like to go back to something we were on, and it's the subject of the book of Matthew, verse chapter 1, and the verses concerning the birth and who the Christ's father actually is. They said it was Joseph. And well, we found that the name was being disguised even through our study and going into the book of Numbers and find out that they changed the name to Jose, and found out that that name went back to being, in essence, in our studies, in our Hebrew concordance, that the name went to H2501, which means exalted, and also that was hidden in Matthew chapter 1. And we didn't know because they said that it was supposed, the birth was supposed, and that the mother and the father of the Christ were having an affair, supposedly, and that the father didn't want the mother to be put to shame. So he sent the mother from the Bahamas back to the United States. This is factual. It's in the scripture as well. And it's something we can all look forward to studying and becoming a part of this true gospel that's being shared. And that was something that I wanted to bring to attention, that the Christ's mother and father was supposed to have had a child that actually is the Son of God. And we can find out more through our studies. And you can find out more if you tune in and become a part of this wonderful gospel. And you'll be able to share some of these tremendous and things that we did not know. That's
Praise
true and can be verified through the scripture.
Praise God.
Praise God.
Again, they should be able to hear the wisdom that's coming out of the mouths of those who are here with me, around me, that was promised. As your knowledge will increase, your wisdom will increase. As I find myself sitting here once again, thanking my Father, Torah, for putting it in your heart and soul to come forward to share with the world what you're learning and what you've learned and witnessed. Praise God.
Praise God.
Anyone else before we move on? If not, I mean, there are others, and they're not shy. They're just overwhelmed. They are overwhelmed. But with that said, as we come back in now for a landing and walk this planet as a stranger, fulfilling Hebrews chapter 13. Go to that for a moment. Speaking of love, someone mentioned love. The heart that I have. Go to Hebrews chapter 13 for a moment. Read verses 1 and 2.
Let brotherly love continue.
There's the love of Ahab. And see, that doesn't say everything. I'm the only one who can tell you that the love that I have, which is Ahab in Hebrew, Ahab, love. The love that I have, my Father and I, he's first. The love that we have for you, let's not even speak or mention for one another. The love that my Father and I have for one another is not being practiced here on this planet. It's not even known. The love that my Father has for his children on this planet that are being abused by the devil in all countries cannot be measured and is not known on this planet. It's not being practiced. The love that I have for my people here in this country and all the other 11 tribes, as Lavi has also joined Judah here, Yehuda. The love that I have for my people cannot be duplicated and or practiced on this planet because it's not known. But it's inevitable because here I am, here now in this country for my people and standing up for them by just one leg of that love. You can't even imagine if I stood on both legs of the love that I have, this world would not even exist again, much less exist now. My Father destroyed forever. And you wouldn't want that. See, that happened once before. It was called the flood of Noah. But this time, I'm going to leave just enough love to destroy it with fire and all those that abused it and my people. It's not a threat. We're not terrorists. I'm not a terrorist. You may be terrified to see me. You may be terrified to see me and experience my Father's, what you call nature. But we're not terrorists. He always warns you before he destroys by his nature. Tornadoes, blizzards, hurricanes, mudslides, fires, earthquakes, hailstorms, dust storms, sandstorms. It goes on and on. But they're not terrorist threats. They're acts of phenomenal nature of destruction. A punishment to mankind on this planet for what you are doing to his children and what you have done to his son. And you don't even know who we are. That's why verse 2 was left on record. Read verse 2 because you don't know. Read verse 2 nice and loud.
Be not forgetful to entertain strangers.
Why?
For thereby some have entertained angels unawares.
And then you call us illegal aliens because we wear goggles over our eyes. I'm the same one. Don't look like I'm illegal to you? Would you care to see my United States passport that you gave me? Not illegal. There's no such thing. The only illegal aliens here are those who we created and made, trying to pass themselves off as being civilized. When yet in the Bible they're called beasts. and animals. Some are still being born with tails. That's a medical fact. That's a medical, a scientific, a biological fact. That's proof. Being born with tails. But that's not my subject. I'm not here to waste my valuable schedule on this live stream on those hypocrites and animals, bastards. The subject is testimony. And we just heard about 5 witnesses come up on a testimony.
I actually want to fix one of my references. So because I told them the wrong reference.
Well, you could come. We have a humble correction to make. That's humbling.
Okay, so I want to correct I originally said H577 would take you to a hog.
Mm-hmm.
So you would actually, when you look up O in the Bible, you will click 577, but you would then go to the etymology.
The etymology.
Which is H160, and that will take you to a hog.
Yeah, most of the Hebrew words, most of the English words that you see in the English version of the Bible come from original Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't put the original Hebrew as the first reference. You have to go to the etymology of the original to get the true meaning. And we're going to do that now. I'm going to say Toda for tomorrow. I'll begin for that because we're about to get into that subject. Here's a perfect example. You go back to Revelation chapter 11 and go to verse 7 where you say, it reads, when they finish their testimony.
And when they shall have finished their testimony.
Okay. What?
The beast that ascended.
There it is, the word beast.
Okay.
That what?
That ascended out of the bottomless pit.
What's going to happen?
Shall make war against them and shall overcome them and kill them.
That's not literal. That's cryptic. You read that literal and you think that we're all going to die and be killed by the beast.
Mm-hmm.
Just as you think the beast in Revelation chapter 13 and verse 18 is a monster.
Right.
And yet I am the beast of Revelation chapter 13 and verse 18. I'm the beast. You have to study the word beast that they put there. See, I'm B from the east. I am the B of the EAST. And I have 600, 300, standing up at 6 feet. But you don't know that because it's cryptic. That's not the subject. We have that in a few testimonies.
Mm-hmm.
But I want you to focus your attention right now on the word testimony in verse 7 of Revelation chapter 11. All right? Write testimony down on your paper. And move to verse 8. Read verse 8.
And their dead bodies shall lie in the street.
Okay, just that little bit right there. Read the rest of it.
Of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt,
Mm-hmm.
where also our Lord was crucified.
Now, this great city comes in two. The great city called Miami, and the great city that is spiritually called the United States of America. Sodom and Egypt. But now, before you could comprehend that, I'm about to reveal the mystery of this testimony and why the dead body shall lie in the street that you think is literal. You must first look at the word testimony. It said their testimony. Do they have an IES or one testimony?
One testimony.
One testimony. That means supposedly two witnesses with one testimony. If it was two witnesses, they'll have their own testimonies.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be two testimonies.
Yeah.
There's only one testimony. That one testimony was given this past weekend in December of their calendar. Saturday, December 9th. That was complete. And then on the 11th, that became the two candlesticks. The 1-1, December 11th, Sunday. The word testimony that you see here in the Bible, and if you go to concordance, you'll see that it was printed in this Bible 76 times. Printed, not written. The Bible is not written. No Bible of this planet was written. The Biblia, even back with the Greeks and the monks and the Romans, the Germans, Martin Luther. The Bible was printed. This version was printed in 1611 by Robert Barker, an Englishman on his printing press in the United Kingdom. 1611, after he was authorized and got permission from the Church of Rome, the Vatican, and then by King James I. There's no such thing as King James. His name was Jacob. That they changed to James, Jacob. He took on a Hebrew name. That's what his parents gave him. The first Jacob, that means he must have been dark skin and complexion. Jacob, the first king of England, but Jacob. So it being that this word testimony, Testimony, that you see at the MONY at the end. It also has many other hidden names and words in it. But that's connected to the two witnesses. And this word testimony is hidden, the name Tony. The name Tony is also hidden in testimony. Tony. It's right there. And when you remove the M and the I, and you'll see the Tony in testimony, you see Tony, which was a nickname that I was being called by the same woman that was known as Dorothy. And then you have the MI from right to left, which is the other witness of Micah Israel. MI from right to left. Or MI with me in Hebrew, Mem Yod, me. And you could also see in this word from right to left, SET. That means Tony, who's also known as Micah Israel, as a second witness, the two witnesses, will have a set time to give his testimony. SET. Do you see it? You think it's testimony. This is a hieroglyphic. Do you see it?
Yeah.
You see TES, which is actually SET, set. There's a set time that would be in December when he's going to give this testimony of himself as two witnesses. That'll be Tony and Micah Israel. That means he will also reveal himself at that time in the year 6025 as Micah the Morasthite. Now go to the word testimony itself. You'll find your strong concordance under H 5715, and that's all they're going to give you. The word testimony. That's why we told you a moment ago, and Witness G came up and made it clear that you have to go to the etymology to get the meaning. So the etymology of that is 5707. H 5707 is known as odd. Then they give you, when you go to that H 5707, you have it.
Yeah.
Then they tell you that the testimony is actually a witness. As I said, two witnesses, Tony and Micah Israel, at a set time. And he's going to also have evidence during this testimony of a witness. There's two witnesses. When you look at the definition, you see two witnesses twice. There's witnesses of people.
Right.
That means this generation should not pass until all these things be fulfilled. And everyone who just testified of what they saw just now and what they experienced this past weekend is a generation. They are a gender.
Wow.
I'm going to prove that in a moment. That's what I said. You had no idea what you were doing. You were fulfilling prophecy. Generation has nothing to do with 40 years. Nothing. Show me in the Bible what generation equals 40 years. I'm going to go to that in a minute. And I know you're wondering, well, come on, Micah, you said 2 years ago that you were circumcised in 1981, and 40 years from that would be 2021. How come this generation hadn't passed yet? I mean, now it's already passed, and these things still ain't been fulfilled. Well, show me in the Bible where generation's 40 years. In the English's idiom. You said 40 years because my father stood on the podium in the 1980s and said a generation's 40 years. Why? Because you were deceived by the world's greatest deceiver, the God who created deception. How could he be bound to Satan? If Satan was the world's greatest deceiver, then Satan become God. That means Satan would be able to deceive God. That's ludicrous. Could you imagine Satan being able to deceive God? Then Satan might as well be God. That didn't work in heaven. He tried to take a third with him in heaven. Couldn't deceive. I already knew what was going on. That's why he kicked their ass out of heaven. And I said ass because a bunch of them became asses. That's in the Bible too. It's in the Bible. I'm not. He said, "Ooh," he said a bad word. Ain't no such thing as bad. There's no such thing as bad. Now you got testimony. And that's not it. That's not all. H5707, not all. You got to go to the contracted from. We're contracted from. It contracted from H5749. And that became odd. That became ood. Which means what? The testimony that I gave, I came back to repeat what had happened before. That means I also returned. Is that not what you see? To return. Micah returned, and I said I would. And you would only know that by way of what you think was a testimony. Tony and Micah Israel, two witnesses at a set time, which would be a generation, a particular generation. That means I have to repeat what I've done and finish my works and to go about my business and do it again. Don't you see it here? Even as I'm surrounded by others that I said I'll bring with me, and as I went to prepare a place for them, that there you may be, I may be also, that you be where I am, that there you may be also, as you surround me and go around and around at the round table. Why? As I restore your souls. He restored my souls. So your soul had to be restored, and then you must be relieved. You got to be relieved, be restored. Then you become a witness, and you bear witness as you sit here and tell us what you learned and what you heard based on the testimony. Right? Even as I say it again. Say it again and again. Don't you see it? Okay. And that way I would preserve a spot during our live stream and have you to cause to testify. I will cause you to testify. And I will take and call you as a witness. But I won't call you by a name. I'll call you by a letter to protect your identity in the witness protection. See, witness protection program, celestial witness protection program, as I exhort and enjoin you solemnly together in a solemn assembly. Wouldn't you be astonished to know that? There it is. It's astonished as I charge you to continue to study. And that has nothing to do with the protest, as others will protest. What we're saying, a lot are not going to believe. So they're going to protest. But as they do, I'm giving you a warning not to do that. That's testimony. That's ood. You got it?
Yeah.
Now, with that said, the Greeks wouldn't tell you that because it wasn't said in Greek. Now, it being that the word testimony appears 76 times printed in his Bible, each time that you see the word testimony, and all those 76 times is different, for the exception of the Old Testament. When you get to Ruth, chapter 4, you have a different meaning they're giving you. Under H8584, 8584, they're giving you a different testimony, and that's what you did. You gave a confirmation, an attestation. Attestation. That's what you gave. You became an injunction to the testimony. You attested what you saw. Even under 5749, takes you right back to Ood. Took you right back to Ood. But you're a part of it too. That's under Ruth. You see it?
Yeah.
And that was the only odd one, except Isaiah. Isaiah gives the same one, Isaiah chapter 8, the same meaning. H8584, verses 16 and 20 of Isaiah chapter 8. Because you have to bind up the testimony and seal the law among my disciples. It was my disciples who gave that testimony. That's why it's there. Don't you see it? Bind up the testimony, seal the law. That's why Charlotte had to take you to the law back for a moment. I'm going to go back to it. All of a sudden, you get to the New Testament in Matthew chapter 8, and it gives you a Greek meaning under Greek G, 3142. And all of those are the same. All of those in the New Testament under G 3142 is the same, the exact same, all the way to Revelation chapter 11. The same meaning, Greek. So what did the Greeks give you in Revelation chapter 11, verse 7 of the testimony? They gave you a Greek word. A Greek word. You see it?
Okay.
Okay. They gave you a Greek word that's pronounced how?
Strong's G 3141, marturia. Marturia.
Sounds like a Spanish queen. San Domingo, Mataria.
Martini.
Oh, yeah, a drink with a martini. And yet they come up with the same definition, a testifying. The office committed to the prophets of testifying concerning future events. Testimony. They also have what one testifies, testimony, that is, before a judge in court. That must mean the judge is here. That's judging the world. Why? Because the Father gave all judgment to the Son. The Father judges no man, but has given all judgment to the Son. That's testimony. Now go back for a moment to Matthew chapter 24. Matthew chapter 24. And read verse so we can clear that up. That means the testimony was based on Micah identifying himself and revealing himself to the world that he's back. That's what the testimony subjected. Micah is back. Identifying himself to the world that he's back, even as the Christ. Read verse 3 of Matthew chapter 24.
And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives.
There's the olives again. All the lives. The O, the circle of the lives that are with him. This word mount is not what you think it is. It doesn't say mountain. It's not mountain. So what is this mount? Some were led to believe during their reading of the Bible for years that this was an abbreviation for mountain. Not so. It is not. This mount is first seen in the book called Genesis of the Old Testament, chapter 10. And then they tell you in the first meaning it means like a hill. That's the first meaning they give you. And this is what it takes for you to take at least 10 steps to study. That's the first 2 steps. It even takes you to an etymology. But it still takes you to a hill or country. And that's what they took you to. Although it appears, they said it occurs 263 times in the Bible, King James Version.
Yeah.
That's what they give you. And most of that means it's in the Old Testament. Under age 20, 22. They want you to be led, they will lead you to believe that it's a mountain or a hill, abbreviation. And that's of the Old Testament. But the minute you come to the New Testament, they also have one in Ezekiel, which is a cryptic, and tells you that it's a mound under H5550 to begin with. A mound. Right? And all of a sudden it takes you from mound and takes you to etymology, which is a solal under H5549. And that's the mount that he sat on to lift you up and to cast up, to exalt yourself, to esteem highly, to prize you, to give you a prize, and to exalt oneself among the lives that he was with that day. Mount of those lives, all lives, the mount of lives, to lift up the lives of those who are with him. You see it? You cannot, this Bible is not written literally or printed. The scrolls were not left literally anyway. It was in codex, badrash, cryptic. What sense did it make for us to leave scrolls behind in Hebrew only to be transliterated to a meaning that they would understand? That we wouldn't have no kind of war weapon, war tactics. They'll know everything. We wouldn't be able to ambush no one. Then when you get to the New Testament, all it gives you is, the first one is a mountain under G35, 3735. 3735, it gives you a mountain. Right? That's what you think. See, they hid that under the etymology, just what it says in Hebrew, under G142. Go to G142 and see what mountain or what mount is. The same thing. G142 under mount. Just type in G142 in your search box. It's going to take you to the Greek word.
Strong's G142. Iro.
What's it say?
To raise up,
The same thing.
elevate, lift up.
What does that have to do with a hill or a mountain? To carry off. And to carry away with what? I mean, when he sat at a particular place to carry those off with him, all those lives are with him to carry them off. Read it again. Now go back to Matthew 24, verse 3. Read that again.
And he sat upon the Mount of Olives.
Now you can read it as a transliteration. As he sat upon the ones to carry them off, to lift them up, to go with him away of lives, all those lives to go with him and carry them away and lift them up. The disciples came unto him privately, saying, what?
Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?
That was to fulfill this past weekend. That was the sign of my coming, my testimony, to let the whole world know that I'm here. That also means that the end of the world is here. Not near, it's here. This is the end of the world. You don't have to believe that. I'm not here to convince you. I said that before. This is not a convincing testimony. I'm not looking for glamour, fame. I'm not looking for anything except my people. I did not actually click on the button to like it or subscribe to it. I'm not getting paid for this. You cannot pay me. I don't give a damn if you click on it or not. I don't even care if you look at it or not. I'm not here for you anyway if you don't look at it. I'm here for those that's going to look at it because there's no souls to look at it. They're looking for me. That's what I'm here for. The rest can go to hell. Period. No. Explanation point. Read verse 4.
And the Christ answered and said unto them,
First take heed that no man deceive you. Many shall come in my name, that they thought was my name, but they were not going to know my name. That's why I kept my name secret. So that all those who come as Jesus, Christ, Yahshua, all those who come as that, and say that they are Christ, they shall deceive many. And you shall hear wars and rumors of wars. Ukraine against Russia. North Korea against South Korea, against the United States, Japan, China, Turkey. Just to name a few. United Kingdom, Italy. But see that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass. But the end is not yet, not the total end. You got it? For nation shall rise against his own nation. The Democrats against Republicans. Really, the Democrats against their own nation. No one gets along. Although their national anthem and their pledge of allegiance says one God, one nation under God. That's three nations under three different gods. With liberty and justice for somebody, for a little bit of people. For a few. Wars and rumors of wars. Nation rise up against nation and kingdom against kingdom. And there should be famines that will cause food drives, food shortages. The shelves be bare at the grocery stores. And pestilences like you've never seen before. Funny looking insects, grasshoppers and rodents, funny looking, they even fly, different type of bats. Ebola, carry Ebola and all kind of stuff. Plagues, earthquakes in places that have never happened before. I mean, many an hour. Now you got to study diverse places, but that's not the subject. Why? Because all these are the beginning of sorrows. Going down to verse 32.
Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender.
The fig tree is symbolic for the same one. And that means this tree is also known as the tree of life. It's going to come back in the last days, give testimonies on live stream, social media, technology that we left for them in 1947 so he can be seen, and give parables. And everyone else that gets the parables who is not with him, you got to be able to figure out what the tree is saying. They're going to try and figure it out, which is short for fig. Figure, the abbreviation for figure is fig. He's going to give you parables to try and figure out, but you won't be able to. And that's why he became the fig tree. Think it's a fruit. See, his fig tree isn't his branch is yet tender. That's symbolic. There's no tree, that's not a tree in the world that you know the difference of female or male, or his or her tree. And put it forth leaves. Put it forth with leaves. I mean, a lot going to leave. A lot are going to leave. They're going to leave one another. Leaving their jobs, leaving their families behind, leaving him. They were even going to leave him. Leaves. If it's not a tree, what makes you think it's a literal leaf? But you can know that some is not. That means that when he gives his testimony, when his testimony was scheduled to be revealed in the last days, it's going to be close to Christmas in December. Got to be fulfilled. That's why, read verse 33.
So likewise, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the doors.
During the testimony, I will reveal the doors. The doors. You got it? The doors will be hidden in the generation. The door. See, the one door was given in the testimony. Another door will be hidden in the generation. Read verse 34 and see.
Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled.
What things? Read verse 35.
Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away.
Now, what things are going to pass away with the words and with heaven and earth? No, heaven and earth pass away. My words will not pass away. But what is the generation? And what's going to be fulfilled? What is to be fulfilled? What generation? I think it's 40 years. Write down generation. Did you write that down? Did you write down generation on your paper?
Wrote down gender.
That means you wrote down generation. What generation come from? Go to your search box and write down generate. The root word of generation is generate. But did you know that? Look it up. What's it define? I told you to get your dictionaries. Define generate in your dictionary. Find a nice one up on the screen. Go to Google.
Yeah, we have generate.
What's generate?
Cause something, especially an emotion or situation, to arise or come about.
That was the testimony. Read it again.
Cause something.
I caused the testimony to do what?
Especially an emotional situation.
And it was an emotional one for a lot of people. To do what?
To arise.
I caused it to arise. As I said it would in Matthew 24. And then shall arise false Christs and false prophets. Right? But also shall arise in Micah chapter 7. Oh, you didn't see that? Read the rest of it.
Or come about. Now,
there's a certain situation in the last days that are going to be in the testimony that I'm going to cause to arise. It's going to be emotional. Now go to Micah chapter 7. Let's see what that arise is. Generation. See, this is a generation. Generate. Not the ION. This is the generate. Read verse 8 of Micah chapter 7. When you get to it.
Rejoice not against me, O mine enemy.
Rejoice. This rejoicing is going to happen during the month called December. Where they think they're rejoicing for it's called Christmas. Rejoice. Because that means that they're going to think that there's some dead bodies in the street that's lying in the street. And they're going to make merry and send gifts one to another. It's going to happen in December. Why?
When I fall,
I shall what?
I shall arise.
During December, in the last days, and give a testimony that's going to cause emotional stress and mourning. Arise. That's coming from what word? Generate. All right, now when you add the ION, you have generation. But you have generate. That means this generate is a generation that comes from the gender. I asked if you wrote down generation. You said no, but you did. You wrote down gender. What's the synonym for generate? So you said you got a synonym? What's the synonym?
We have engender.
Ginger.
Engender.
Engender. Spell it for them.
It's ENGENDER.
How do you get that out of generate?
Right.
What? Now go follow my instructions, my commandment. Go to your Strong's Concordance online. Right? Type in generate. Let's see if that's in the Bible. And don't tell me it's going to take you to 2 Timothy. Let's see if it's in the Bible. Is it in the Bible?
Pulling it up now.
Oh.
Not in the KJV.
I didn't ask you that.
They have it in the NKJV.
Didn't ask you that. I asked you is it in the Bible.
Again, it's in the Bible.
It's been answer the question. Is it in the Bible?
Again.
I didn't specify which Bible. What Bible you see it in?
NKJV.
In that the? In that a part of the?
Yeah.
I said the Bible. I didn't say is it the King James Version. That means why? Because I'm going to give you something new. I'm going to give you something new. That's why it's in the New King James Version. Because you never heard of this before, have you? Then it's new. Now go to 2 Timothy where they say it is. And what you have.
Was to click at it in the KJV.
You got to click on it. You got to go see what it says. You got to read 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 23.
But avoid foolish and ignorant disputes.
What? And what?
Knowing that they generate strife.
Generate. In the King James, New King James Version Bible.
Yeah.
Generate strife. Go up to verse 15. Click on that and go up to verse 15. And read that. Starting from 15.
Be diligent to present yourself approved to God.
Wait, that's 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15.
Yes.
Of the New King James Version. Of what?
A worker who does not need to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth.
That sounds familiar?
Yeah.
Under the old King James Version. KJV. Read verse 16.
But shun profane and idle babblings, for they will increase to more ungodliness.
You got it? I mean, stay away from it. Read verse 19. Wait. Read verse 17.
And their message will spread like cancer.
You got it? Cancer's in the Bible? Their Bible? And what else?
Hymenaeus and Philetus are of this sort.
18.
Who have strayed concerning the truth, saying that the resurrection is already past.
See what happens when you read this and you don't have the knowledge? And what?
And they overthrow the faith of some.
Nevertheless,
the solid foundation of God stands.
It stands. Having what?
Having this seal.
What? What's the seal? Quote.
Quote. The Lord knows those who are his.
End quote. And you better believe that. And what's another one? Quote.
And quote. Let everyone whose names the name of Christ depart from iniquity.
You got it?
End quote.
Verse 20.
But in a great house there are not only vessels of gold and silver, but also of wood and clay, some for honor and some for dishonor.
Read on.
Therefore, if anyone cleanses himself from the latter, he will be a vessel for honor, sanctified and useful for the master, prepared for every good work.
How about that? Read 22.
Flee also youthful lust, but pursue righteousness, faith, love, peace with those who call on the Lord out of a pure heart. But avoid foolish and ignorant disputes, knowing that they generate strife.
Read on.
And a servant of the Lord must not quarrel, but be gentle to all.
You got it?
Yeah.
And to do what?
Able to teach, patient,
Uh-huh.
in humility, correcting those who are in opposition, if God perhaps will grant them repentance, so that they may know the truth, and that they may come to their senses and escape the snare of the devil, having been taken captive by him to do his will.
Wow. You hear that? Now go to the KJV. Go to the first KJV, right? And go to 2 Timothy. Same book. 2 Timothy.
15.
Look at 15 again. Do the 15. Why do they? It's like euphemized. Not only that, they redacted it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like they did the Mueller's report. Redacted. What else? What it say?
Study to show.
Now all of a sudden we have study. Opposed to be vigilant.
Mm-hmm.
Study to do what?
To show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth.
Read verse 16 just for the sake of it.
But shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness.
Okay. Go down to verse 19.
Nevertheless, the foundation of God standeth sure, having this seal, the Lord knoweth them that are his.
Sound familiar? And
let every one that nameth the name of Christ depart from iniquity.
That's a law. Verse 20.
But in a great house there are not only vessels of gold and of silver, but also of wood and of earth, and some to honor and some to dishonor.
Mm-hmm.
If a man therefore purge himself from these, he shall be a vessel unto honor, sanctified, and meet for the master's use, and prepared unto every good work.
Read on.
Flee also.
Read till you get to verse 23. Let's see the difference.
Yeah. Flee also youthful lust, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart. Verse 23.
Verse 23.
But foolish and unlearned questions avoid, knowing that they do gender strifes.
There's your gender.
Right.
You sat there in that chair. You sat there in that chair and you gave a testimony as a gender of this generation that shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. That means I couldn't go any further until you sat there and gave a testimony as a gender during this generation. There's no such thing as a generation. It's gender. Now go back to Leviticus chapter 19. Go to Leviticus chapter 19. And read verse 19 again. Because you missed. You didn't know what it was.
Ye shall keep my statutes. Thou shalt not let thy cattle gender with a diverse kind. Thou shalt not sow thy field with mingled seed. Neither shall a garment mingled of linen and woolen come upon thee.
Now you have gender. It's only twice. Go back to your search box of your Strong Concordance and put down gender. Right, print gender in there. You should see it twice in the King James Version.
Two times in two verses.
The first one is 19 Leviticus. Click on that and get the meaning. What do you have?
We have to lie stretched out.
To lie. Stretched out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What else? Takes you to etymology?
No, it's a primitive root.
No etymology.
No etymology.
That's Hebrew.
Yeah.
Now go to the Greek, where we found it in 2 Timothy. Gender. Now go to the Greek's meaning. What did the Greeks do on the G1080? They gave you of men who father children.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, they did not. Go to the metaphor. It's metaphorical. Generation that was hidden in gender is metaphorical. It represents, did you see engender?
Yeah.
On a generator? A generate?
Generation. On the generation.
On a generate, you saw it in the definition. Generate, you saw synonymous. Engender, there's a metaphor. That means in Matthew chapter 24, generation is a metaphor. It means to engender something, which was what? Cause to arise and excite. Look at letter B. What it says.
In a Jewish sense.
Of what?
Of one who brings others over to his way of life.
Right. O live. O live.
To convert someone.
To convert someone with my testimony. Of what?
Of God making Christ his son.
A testimony. And what's the last one?
Of God making men his sons through faith in Christ's work.
Fulfilling John chapter 1 and verse 12. Believe on my name, and I give you power to become the sons of God.
Right.
Do you see it? I'll go back to Revelation chapter 11. Read verse 7 again.
And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascended out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them and kill them.
Read on. Read verse 8.
And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified.
Now, what do you mean the dead bodies shall lie in the street? What do you mean by that? You think that's literal. Did you study lie? Go to your concordance again. And look up lie. L-I-E. You should have it appearing 155 times printed.
Yeah, and 153 verses.
153 verses. Now, one time when you go back to Leviticus, the most infamous meaning or reference is H7901.
Yeah.
What does that say?
To lie down.
To lie down. And that's what you think it is. They're like they're laying, the bodies are they shot and killed and laying in the street, lying in the street. It's metaphorical. Go to Exodus chapter 23 and look at verse 11, and then go to that one in your concordance. Don't you see H5203?
H5203?
Mm-hmm.
It means to leave, permit, forsake. Cast.
So their dead bodies should be forsaken and leave in the street? What else?
Cast off or away.
Now you're going to come to cross what it's going to say, arise. The definition. You got abandoned as well, don't you?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Abandoned. Be deserted.
Go to Look at the one under Leviticus chapter 6. Under H3584, lie, L-I-E. One consonant with two vowels in English you think is a meaning of a word like lie, which you were raised to believe by the slave master, the English slave master.
This one is to deceive.
No, go to, to deceive. That means lying.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the PL meaning. To deceive and deny falsely.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah.
That's like lying. If you also look in the lexicon, it also has in there to deceive, deny, liars. You see it? Falsely.
Yeah.
But that's all Hebrew. That's all Hebrew.
Yeah.
Did you go to 54:14? Go to 51:14 so you can see part of the testimony there. To give and to put and to set. As I said, it was set, right?
Yeah.
Or with the TES. You think a test? But back was SET.
Yeah.
And this coming from lie. H54:14. What do you have?
Yeah. To give, put.
And to what?
Set.
That's your set. And to bestow.
Yeah.
Put upon, set, appoint. It's all there.
Yeah. Even consecrate.
Even consecrate. To be issued. Not only that, to be published.
Yeah.
On YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
The testimony. To reveal myself for who I am.
Yeah.
Let the world know that I'm back. Do you see it?
Yeah.
This under lie.
Right.
So what did the Greeks put? When you go to the Greeks, they're going to give you in Greek, even Daniel even gives you something different. Daniel is a cryptic book. They even put Daniel on in there. But the one who would give you something different would be the one who left it in Revelation, which would be who? Micah.
Yeah.
So go to Micah.
Mm-hmm.
And look at Micah chapter 1.
Yeah. H391.
Look up H391, see what that lie is. They think their bodies maybe they're going to be killed by a sniper's bullet or somebody stab them and kill them because they don't like the testimony. And they just going to lie in the streets of the United States, the great city. Just lie in the street. Nobody come by and pick them up in an ambulance or fire rescue and take them to the hospital or to the morgue. But yet, Micah said what? What it means? H391. Do the first one, then go to etymology. But deceitful and treacherous, deception, a lie. You know, that's a lie. You say it all the time.
Yeah.
You won a lotto last night? That's a lie. You didn't win no lotto. Why you asking me for $10 if you won the lotto? What you mean so you can catch an Uber to go catch your ticket? It's a lie. You want $10 to go buy some weed. It's a lie. Especially being Christmas. You want to go get a bottle of liquor. It's a lie. You won the lotto, you're going to give me $300 if I give you $10 to go cash your ticket. To get to Tallahassee, to the Capitol, to go cash your ticket in. $10 going to get you to Tallahassee. What you going to catch, a bus? Go to the etymology that begins with cough. What you have to tell a lie? I mean, there's going to be a lot of dead people around me today who's going to be lying in the street. Just like they're lying in the street now, just before Christmas. And when they do that, what's the lie? The lie is a fat man coming down with a red suit on, down the chimney, and bring you some presents. during the month that I give my testimony. That's known as December, around Christmas. And then they're going to exchange gifts. But that's a lie. The dead bodies lie on the streets around the time I give my testimony in December. I'm not making this up. I'm giving you a revelation to prove it's me. Only I can do this. Why? Because I sealed it and left it encrypted. Now prove it and go back to Revelation chapter 8 and then read verse. You finish 8, now read verse 9. You finish 8. If you didn't finish 8, read 8.
We finished 8.
You finished 8?
Yeah.
Oh, so we didn't get the Greek meaning of lie. I want you to see what the Greeks did by lying. Or did they? Look like they put them. So you go to Hebrew and they give you lying down, having sex, sexual intercourse. But then you go to the Greeks who hid it because they knew. They knew that the Christ was cryptic, gave cryptics and parables. Go to G 5574, and what does it give you? You should have to lie and to speak deliberate falsehoods.
Yeah, to lie, to speak deliberate falsehoods, to deceive one by a lie, to lie too.
So how you connect that to their dead bodies lying in the street? That means a lot of my people who are going to remain dead, they just want to stay dead in the mind. They're spiritual dead, not physical. They'd rather live by a spiritual lie, dead, and telling their children that what you want for Christmas, ask that white boy over here, he's going to bring it to you because I can't afford it. I'm on food stamps and I get government aid. But the white boy in the blue underwear that you cannot see, but the red suit that you can see with a black belt around his waist that whip you with in slavery, and the black boots that he stomped on you with in your head in slavery, is going to bring you whatever you want, even freedom. Let freedom ring. Now go and read verse 9. And what do you have?
And they of the people and kindreds and tongues.
You read in verse 9. So all of these people and tongues are going to be lying. Sure what?
And nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half.
Lie in the street. 3 days and a half. Goes for years. 100 years. 100 years. Even during slavery. And what?
And shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves.
Why? Because it's not literal. If it was literal, then they'll put them in graves. Who do you know today in this country the government will allow a dead body to stay on the street, they don't come pick it up and put it in the grave or take it to the county morgue? It's not literal. This is for December. This is for December. And then what happens? Read on.
And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them.
Right, because they're lying. They rejoice and they told them a lie. So the lie that they told them to bring the white boy down the chimney with reindeers that can fly with wings, they rejoice. We got him now. Right? Rejoice. You got rejoice?
Rejoice.
Did you say rejoice?
Yeah.
Like around December. Joy to the world. The Lord has come. Now you know they got the mystery to that song. Yeah. Joy to the world. During a month called December. He's going to reveal himself when he comes. When he do, you know it's the Lord. The Lord has come. Even by the first Noel. He's also a drummer boy. He's all of that. And not only that, but after he gives his testimony, there's going to be silent in space for about an hour. that they will call silent night, a holy night. Isn't that something? Joy to the world. The Lord has come. Let earth receive their King. And after that happens, and they're going to do what?
And make merry.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. The Christ has come. The Lord has come. Joy to the world. It's a silent night. And then when that happens, they do what?
And shall send
gifts one to another. Open up your present. It's Christmas morning. And I can't make it there, but I'm going to send you a gift in the post office box by UPS. Unidentified people swearing there's Christmas. Huh? Yeah. UPS, you liars, you. And what else?
Because these two prophets tormented them that dwelt on the earth.
How about that? And after the Christmas holidays are over, in verse 11, what's going to happen?
And after 3 days and in half, the Spirit of life from God entered into them.
Now, because he's going to tell you the truth. And what?
And they stood upon
their feet. And what?
And great fear fell upon them which saw them.
We're not celebrating Christmas anymore. We're going to stand on our feet and forget about that. We're not doing that anymore. I'm not putting no more lights on my house, blue, green, red, yellow. And I'm not putting no more balloon on top of my roof in Florida that has a man on it like reindeers are coming down in the heat. I'm not putting a snowman on my green grass anymore in December. It doesn't get below 40 degrees in December in Miami. I'm not going to do that anymore. All that money I'm spending on this stuff. I spend more money on decorations than I do on my own child. Buy him some Xbox 360. And I could use that money to pay my light bill because now he don't have no power to play it. The lights are off. I thought they was joking when they said pay your light bill, final notice. They don't shut you off during the Christmas holidays. It's supposed to be a Christmas gift. Let us run our power free. Joy to the world. The Lord has come. Is that right?
Yeah.
It's all a part of the testimony. You had to do that. I had to give this testimony so that this prophecy could be fulfilled. And I believe we're doing that. That's the door. One door was created and came out again on February 20th, 1917. That's the first door. It was a pearly door that my arm came through on a portal as we descended. Let's show them that before we leave. Go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. Right? Read verse 16.
For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout.
Now that's the Lord himself that descended. He came through his gate on the 15th day of the 8th month in 5938, the year, solar year. And his gate was made out of pearl, pearly gate. Terrestrial, she was known as Pearl Leatherman. Maiden name, Pearl Leatherman, then she married Mitchell, Uline. And he came out according to their calendar on October 27th, 1935. But she came out during the 11th month of our calendar, 11. February 20th, when you calculate that into our solar time, it's the 11th month. But it was February of their calendar. And then 19 years, well, not 19 years, about 15 years after that. 15 years after she did, here come the other door. In February 3rd, 1932. How many years is that from 15? From 1917, you got 15. Then 1932, here come the other door, Dorothy. On February 3rd, 1932, which is the 11th month. So one came out the 11th month, the other came out the 12th month. So that would have been the 12th month. February 20th would be right into the 12th month. Now that's the last month. But February 3rd would be the 11th month on our calendar. So let's correct that. February 3rd, into the 11th month, still in the 11th month. February 20th, we're going to the 12th month, but both are February on that calendar. Isn't that something? Coincidence? I say not. You know the truth. And then 19 years later, that's the first the Lord ascended with the shout of the archangel. 19 years later, they came out. He came out the 15th day of the 8th month, and 19 years later, the archangel came out, the voice of the archangel, on the 15th day of the 7th month. That was not December 25th. That's September. You got it?
Yeah.
Right. That's the testimony of the truth. It's when it finished the testimony. Make sense?
Yeah.
Of course it does. Read Revelation chapter 12. And verse 10.
And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation.
When?
Now
Now is come salvation. Well, verse 9, read why it come. Read verse 9 first.
And the great
Read
dragon,
that first, yeah.
And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him.
Right.
Verse 10.
Now verse 10.
And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Christ.
Who's Christ?
His Christ.
His Christ. Now you can have whatever Christ you want. You can go worship and serve whatever Christ that you want. But the God of the Hebrews, he have his own Christ. And that'd be the same Christ in verse 7, the same chapter.
Yeah.
They call him Michael. What else?
For the accuser of our brethren is cast down,
Right.
which accused them before our God day and night.
Praise you.
Praise you.
But we want to thank you, Toda, for those who have joined us this morning, now into the afternoon, to reveal some more of the mystery of the secret and to announce that the Christ is here, the Christ of our Lord, our God, the God of the Hebrews. The same God of the Hebrews who told Moses to go to Pharaoh and tell him to let my people go. And as we close, I'm going to remind you that this winter that's coming up, they hadn't started yet. If you look on your almanac, you admitted yourself that the first day of winter don't start until December 21st. And yet you had snow up to 7 feet back in November last month.
Mm-hmm.
You should know something's wrong with that. So let me warn you, and I'm going to tell you this once more. This winter, and I pray you could see this winter hadn't started yet. Again, for the sake of this recording, today on your calendar is known as Thursday, December 15th, 2022. This winter is going to be the worst ever recorded on, where you didn't even have a record. It's going to cause a lot of catastrophic damage and death. And pipes are going to freeze, and your power supply is going to freeze up. People are going to freeze to death in their homes and cars. It's going to be unbearable. Gas lines are going to freeze. Ice is going to freeze on top of ice. You're going to have layers on top of layers of ice. And you're not going to be able to dig out of this snow. It's going to pile up snow as you dig up snow, dig up snow, dig up snow. It's going to snow and blizzard and winds. It's going to be tornadoes. There's going to be thunder, snow, blizzards, unbearable. And it's going to snow in places that has not snowed before. And it's going to snow like that until you see me personally, face to face. And until you do, it's going to snow until you let my people go. And that's all I have to say.